Hello, hello, and welcome to the Friend Leigh Show. I am your host and friend, Leigh. Okay, so let's get a couple of housekeeping things out of the way. One, yes, I will be wearing this scarf probably until March. I had somebody message me and was like, "Do you ever take that scarf off?" And I was like, "In the winter, no, I do not." So my father-in-law and stepmother-in-law bought this for me for Christmas, I think maybe 2 years ago, and every winter now I just wear it with everything all day long. So the other thing is I think I've been forgetting to do this disclaimer, so I definitely have to do it at the beginning of the show because otherwise I will forget. I am not a healthcare professional in any way. I am simply your friend, and the rest of the people that are inside of the comments that are going to be a part of the show are also just your friends. And so, whatever you hear on this show, if you think it is sounding like I'm diagnosing you or I'm giving you treatment or whatever the case may be, know that I am not. And this is totally meant as education and entertainment. And if anything sounds like, ooh, this is really hitting home, then I highly recommend that you take this to a healthcare professional because they're going to know your medical history and also the medical history of your family and be able to help you make the proper diagnosis and treatment for you. So that is it. It is a brand new month. I cannot believe we were at December. It is the end of the year. It has been a wild, wild year. And the more that I talk about how wild the year has been for our family, I'm realizing that a lot of people have been going through a lot of things this year. And so the series that we're going to be doing today or this month is radical compassion, just radical compassion for everything in our life, because I think we really need that. And we need to start cultivating that right now before we go into 2026. So 2026, I do not think it's going to be radically different than it was in 2025. If you guys remember, a lot of people in 2024, when it was coming to the new year, they were saying, I hope 2025 is my year. And if it was your year, then congratulations. Please put it in the comments. Let us know. Let's celebrate with you. That is amazing. But a lot of us went into 2025 hoping that 2024 was going to be put to bed and we were going to have this beautiful new year arise. And a lot of people have told me that I'm not alone in 2025 being a very difficult, challenging year. And so I am not going to anticipate or expect that 2026 will be any different. And that is not to put a poo-poo, woe is me or woe is us in there. It is simply, we've been learning we need to lower our expectations, and not in a way that makes us feel like, okay, well, what's the sense, It is because when our expectations are up here, it becomes very difficult to meet them. And anything that falls shorter than that, which is usually real life, and if your expectation wasn't here and you were somewhere in here, this would feel amazing. This would feel so, so, so good. But instead, we had this higher expectation. And so, because we didn't meet it, then we feel like the year wasn't as good. And so, this month, I really want all of us to cultivate this radical compassion for ourselves and for the world around us. And inside a book club, we are doing a book. It was suggested by one of our members, Rose. So Rose, thank you so much. It's called Whatever Arises, Love That. And really, it's a journey of radical compassion for ourselves. He doesn't call it radical compassion, but basically that is what it's going to be all about. And so I'm really, really excited. Closer to the end of the month, we're going to be having our book club. I think it's on the 18th or 19th. And we're going to have some really good conversation around that. But leading up to that and all through the month, we are going to be continuing that conversation. So radical compassion. And what does that mean when we look at it through each one of the pillars of the happy framework? And so, like always, this is the first week of the month. And so we are going to be talking about radical compassion through the lens of the health and the affection for ourselves pillar. And I'm really hoping that you guys can hear me because I don't see any comments, which is usually I have comments by now. So I'm hoping that you guys can hear me. I see that we have eyeballs. So if somebody could just kind of give me the thumbs up and say, yes, we can hear you, that would be really, really special. But that is okay if I'm going to keep going, assuming that everything is okay, because it looks good on my end. So as always, I have come up with a few notes that I kind of want to share with you guys, and then we can have conversation around that afterward. So a couple of the reasons why self-compassion is going to be really important and why, it even betters our health, like from a physical standpoint, it dramatically reduces our cortisol when we're able to have compassion with ourselves. There's been study after study after study. You can go and find any kind of science that you want that will back this up, that having compassion over self-criticism, self-hate, self-loathing, all of that, it can lower our cortisol by not 5%, not 10%, but 25 to 40%. That is huge. And we're all believing that we have to do work harder so we can be prouder, do more so we can accomplish more. And really what it is that we've got to be more compassionate with ourselves where we are right now. And then we will in turn be able to do all of these other things. So it's not a matter of just being complacent and saying, okay, I'm compassionate, I'm kind to myself, and I'm just going to kind of coast through the rest of my life. That doesn't feel good. There's also science that shows that coasting is not great for us, that we do need to be thriving and having goals and having purpose and moving into that. But it doesn't have to be through a hustle culture. We can have it through compassion for ourselves. And what happens with cortisol, it's just the stress hormone. You'll hear a lot about that. We talk about it on here, but there's a lot of talk about it just out in the ether that everybody's saying. The reason why cortisol is so bad for us, now we need it. We need cortisol in our body. Like we need that stress hormone. So it's not all bad. But when we have high cortisol, what it does is it manifests into poor sleep, into weight retention, especially around the midsection. And the reason for that is because our body is trying to keep us safe. That is literally what it is telling our body. And so when it's like saying, okay, you're not, like, it's not telling us that we're safe. It's doing things to make us more safe because we feel that we're not safe. And so what it's doing, it's protecting not our belly, it's protecting the organs within our belly. And that's why you'll get that spare tire around there when you're really stressed out. It's because it doesn't really care to protect your knees. It doesn't really care to protect your ankles. It doesn't really care to protect anything else other than your heart and your lungs and your kidney and your liver and all of your organs on the inside. And so that's why you gain weight in this area, right? And so we have weight retention, we have increased inflammation. So that's why we're having all of this rise of, people feeling that they have more arthritis, they have more, why can't I come up with a word? All of these autoimmune, all of these, it's because there's so much inflammation in our body. And the biggest culprit, yes, sugar, there's so many other things, but the big one is cortisol. And then we have digestive issues where we have so many people that are either going one way or the other way. So either constipated or always on the go. All of this is determined by your cortisol. And so when you have lower cortisol, then your body becomes a healing environment. Your body ends up realizing I am safe, and your biology will respond to that. And so that's why speaking kindly to ourselves dramatically changes our physical health. Okay. So I don't think I've ever like laid it out like that, but there's too much of all of us talking about this, like, oh, we want to reduce our cortisol. But what does it mean? And so that is, not a scientific way of saying it, but that's basically what's happening in our body. And so when we know that, then we can start realizing, okay, you know what? I'm going to be kinder. And something that I realized is I have started where I have been talking negatively about myself out in the open as a funny coping mechanism. And I used to do that a lot when I was younger, but then I got out of it and I started treating myself a lot kinder. But in the last couple months, I've realized, because people have told me, because I think it's a shock to them because they have not known me that way. And now all of a sudden I'm like, have this self-deprecating humor. And I didn't even realize I was doing it. I didn't even realize it until a couple people in my life. And one of them was a barista at my favorite coffee shop. And he was like, oh, no, we're not going to talk like that. And I was like, what did I say? I had no clue. And so it happens to all of us that we fall into this kind of way. And because it's more accepted, right? It's more accepted inside of society, which is really sad. I was having a conversation with my husband. This was probably a couple months ago that I was having this, and we were talking about Stuart Smiley, right? Where he was like, I can't remember the exact saying that he would say on the show. But it was something like, he would look in the mirror. It was on Saturday Night Live, and he would look in the mirror and he would say something like, I'm I don't know, I'm good looking, I'm smart, and gosh darn it, people like me, right? I think that was, yes, it was funny because it was the start of a lot of self-development industry that was really starting to take hold when he did that. And so it was funny because that's what Saturday Night Live did, was made fun of what was actually happening in pop culture at the time. But for me, I feel like that was really a poor thing that happened, because then people that were talking kindly about themselves and were trying to speak better and speak what they wanted into existence, they were teased by the water cooler. They were teased at work and with their friends because they're like, okay, Stuart, and that's a real shame, because I think we need to start accepting when people say good things about themselves and honor that and celebrate that. And that's something that we do inside a Happy School, because it's not really celebrated other places. We have connection over crisis. We have connection over comparison and over all of these things that are like negative, because we can relate. And that's good to be able to relate to each other when we're going through something. But it keeps us in that loop of negativity, and it keeps us in that loop of repeating the same shitty story over and over again. And so we really need to be kinder to ourselves and do it outwardly. Another thing is compassion improves our habit follow through. So when we are trying to develop a habit, and we have kind of known that, we've been told or we've been treated like, when we don't do something right, then there's self-judgment or there's judgment from other people. And so we take that and we start doing this self-judgment. Well, when we start, treating us shitty about like, oh, you did it again, you can't keep this habit, and you start judging yourself based on your ability to do this habit, then we start avoiding it. Then we start quitting it. We don't even want to show up for this thing. And the truth of the matter is that habits are hard to start, because we're having to break this thing inside of our body that it likes consistency. It likes what it already knows, even if what it already knows is not helping you. Eating junk food at night is not helping you, but it's comfortable. And so that, to change that, is to go into a space that is not quote unquote safe, right? It's healthy, but it's not safe because we don't know it. It's unknown. And so our body is going to fight tooth and nail to go back to that comfort, even if it is not good for us. drinking, whatever it is. It wants to go back to that comfort zone. And so habits are really hard to break because you got to get past that piece of it where you are going to have that sloppy beginning and you've got to get past it. So if we can have self-compassion while we're quote unquote messing up, but really instead of messing up, you're actually just building the habit. That's part of it, is going back and then gently guiding yourself back to where you want to be. That's where the compassion comes in. And so we need to start doing that. And we are significantly more likely to get back on track when we use self-compassion as opposed to shame and pressure and self-criticism and self-judgment. And the nervous system. So what we were talking about is that the nervous system has to feel safe to change. Okay. It has to. If you are in a constant fight or flight or freeze or fawn, if you're in any of that your nervous system does not feel safe, it is not going to change. And so your body actually enters 3 different states. And so that's the polyvagal. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that, the polyvagal theory. But the body cannot create lasting healthy habits until they go from number 2 to number 3. And what that is first you need to have safety. Okay. So that's where you're open and curious and compassionate and you start, and I'm not a professional again on this. So if you have a better definition of this, totally fine. Correct me in the comments. But so the body can't create lasting changes if you are in not going from 2 to 3, if you are in number 2 or number 3. So number 1, and the only place that change can happen is if you are safe. And that is going to allow you to be open and curious and compassionate. But if you are in stress, which that's what we've been talking about, we are in this sympathetic nervous system where we are frantic, we're pushing, we're self-critical, and that is usually the place that we are in that beginning messy part of the habit formation. And it's just the way that we've been kind of raised, really. And that part you cannot change because you are always going to go back to that safety. And so the safety is not in the new habit. The safety is in where you've always been. And then the other part, the other state that you can be in, and I get in that place a lot. That's kind of one of my go-tos, is shut down. And so this looks like getting numb, getting tired, or just checking out completely. And if you are in that mode, if you're in that state, you're not going to be able to make change. So those last 2, you will not be able to make change, long-lasting, concrete change. You can white knuckle it through, but you will not be able to make lasting change. And so when it comes to our health habits, we're not going to be able to create those. So the big thing is we need to realize that if we need to be in a safe environment, and by environment, I mean inside our brain, inside our body, if we need to feel safe, then the biggest, easiest way to get there is for us to be compassionate with ourselves and to speak kindly to ourselves. And then there's a lot of other things that we can do that we've talked about on the show a million times, but we need to feel safe in that change that we're making. And so when it starts feeling scary because we want to revert back, instead of yelling at ourselves or feeling bad, that is just going to quickly get us back to, oh my gosh, yeah, you're right. I am totally out of safety because now I've made this little setback and now I'm getting yelled at by yourself. You're getting all of this like tension. And so now you'll stay there because you have now proven to yourself that it's not safe to go out here. And so if we can remind ourselves that, yeah, okay, you're just going back because you want to be safe, but you know what? It is safe out here. We're going to feel good when we make this change. We're going to feel happy. And that's why thinking about why you want to make this change is one of the number 1 things that you need to do. You need to have that why, because that why is never, well, I want to make this health change because I really think it's going to bring me a lot of anxiety, right? Oh, if I start working out, I really think I'm going to feel frantic all the time. I think that's no, I'm going to feel peaceful. I'm going to feel energized. I'm going to feel more loving. I'm going to feel more fill in the blank, whatever it is. Whenever we have a habit that we want to change, it's because it is going to have a much softer, happier feeling on the outside of it. And so instead of focusing on this change that we want to make, if you focus on this feeling that you want to feel, then now your body is going to want to get to this feeling because this feels good. It's going to keep reverting back to the old habit, but you can kind of gently, compassionately remind it of where it wants to go. This is going to feel happy or safe or peaceful once we get there. We just got to get through this bumpy little road right now. And speaking to ourselves in that way makes it a lot easier. And I'm going to tell you, I fall into it. One of my worst habits is sugar. It's really, really, Mike and I have been talking about this for I don't know how long. And we were just at his mom's wedding in Mexico. And there was a lady across the table that I've never met before, but it was so cool because she was like, I really miss your podcast, because Mike and I used to do a podcast. She's not a friend of mine on Facebook, so she had no idea that I had this podcast. But Mike and I used to do a podcast together called First Aid Pod. And she says, I love how much you guys talked about sugar and kicking the sugar addiction and trying to, and then falling and then coming back and all of that. She's like, I could relate to it so much. I wish that you would bring it back. And that is my thing, because I don't get compassionate with myself. And this month, that's another reason why I wanted radical compassion as the theme, because I need it. Because this month is going to be the month that I will either gain 20 pounds or set myself up for a really healthy 2026. And the only way that I can do that is by being compassionate with myself. And when I have the chocolate, not saying, oh, way to go, because this is what I do. Oh, way to go. Okay, you did it. And now, you know what? You might as well just finish the bag, right? Instead, I could be compassionate and say, okay, yeah, you know what? You fell back, but that's okay. That's okay. Did you enjoy it? All right. Now let's just get to the point where we're not eating 17 pieces of chocolate. Let's get to the point where we can have just a piece or two, really enjoy it, and then move on with our day. We can get there. It's going to be hard, but we can do it. And you can also speak even kinder to yourself and not tell yourself that it's going to be hard, because that makes another mountain. But for me, I like being honest with myself. It is going to be hard, but we're going to get through this. You do hard things. And that's another reason why I think I've told you guys this before, I do the cold showers in the morning, just at the end. And it's always been difficult for me. I've literally been doing this probably for over a decade, actually closer to 15 years. And I still do not enjoy it. It's not easy on myself. However, the reason why I do it is because it allows me the proof that throughout the day, when I have to do hard things, I can be kind to myself, because I can say, hey, you know what? You did that this morning. You can do anything, you know? And so that, even in that, where people are like, well, if you don't enjoy it, why are you spending the time? Because it's 90 seconds and it gives me the ability to be able to be kinder to myself with justified action. So anyway, I have 0 comments, which I need to remember that my cousin did tell me one time, because I was like, oh, it felt really weird not to have any comments, but see people watching. And he was like, it's because it was a really good show. So I do have to remember that. But we are going to have a couple of lightning round questions, because I realized that I kind of got on my soapbox this one a lot more than I usually do, because it's such an important conversation. So we're just going to do 2 questions, and I need to go and I need to open up ChatGPT. Okay. So let me open this up and let me grab just 2 questions. Let's get this one and let's get this one. So I'm just going to copy them over here. And put them in here. So this is number 1 and this is number 2. Okay, so let me take this one. I should have had this prepared for you guys, but that's okay. So number 1 question is, what version? Ooh, this is a good one. Thanks, ChatGPT. What version of you needs the most compassion? Is it 7-year-old you? teenage you, or current you, and why? Okay, that's a good one. If you guys are just watching this for the first time, this is what we do. We do lightning round questions. We're only going to do 2 today, but normally we do like 3 or 4. And all you do is you just put number 1 and then answer the question. You don't have to repeat it. Just answer the question and then put number 2 and answer that question. And you can push enter after you're done the first one. That way we can have a conversation around it. I will be answering them as well. So hopefully you guys will go ahead and do that. Number 2, the second question is this one. It says, oh, actually, I can put this up here for you. So number 1, I will put it in the thing. What version of you needs the most compassion? 7-year-old you, teenage you, or current you, and why? And then number 2 is, how do I do that? Can I get this up there without, maybe I can't. Okay, there we go. And the second one is, what's one thing your body has been whispering that you've been ignoring? Okay. These are good. These are really good. So I'm going to go ahead and answer just in case you guys don't answer, but I'm hoping that somebody will down there. But number 1, what version of you needs the most compassion? 7-year-old you, teenage you, or current you? And for me, it is pretty easy. It's not easy because I don't know. Does 7-year-old me really need compassion? Maybe that's why current me is having so many struggles with the current situation, maybe. But right now, because of what we're going through with our family, I'm going to say current me and 7-year-old me, because I think it's bringing up a lot of things that I've kind of put down and shoved down. So I'm going to say it's probably a combination of the 2, but I would love to hear what yours is. And that's why, because right now our situation is really tough, and I need to just be compassionate. I need to be compassionate with everybody involved and with me especially. And then also 7-year-old me, I need to be compassionate with the ideas that I held as a child, and also with myself in the way that I've been handling it. So number 2 is, what's the one thing that your body has been whispering that you've been ignoring? I will tell you, it is my sugar intake. This is going to sound very, very silly to a lot of you guys, but I just have a very connected feeling to my body, I guess. I don't know. So I have this pimple right here, and you guys can see it. If you're watching or listening to this in the audio, come on over to YouTube and you can see Doug. If you guys ever watched Family Guy, that's what we call him. Because anyway, okay, so I have this pimple, and I swear that every time I have been taking in excess sugar, I can feel it like tingle, and so it's literally my body outwardly manifesting what the sugar is doing to my body. And I've just continued doing it, which it's whispering. Now it's almost yelling. And my energy level has been lower. My knees are starting to feel it, like all of this. And so, Leanne, why are you continuing to do this? I don't know. So that is what my body has been whispering to me, that I need to lay off of this sugar. And do I need to go sugar mode off? Like, do I need to have 0 sugar in my body? I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not doing this all or nothing. That's not compassionate. That's not constructive. But I do need to just be more compassionate, that when I put the first thing in my mouth, I need to ask myself the question, is this something that if you were being kind to yourself, you would continue doing? Because the answer is always no. But I need to just kind of ask myself those kinds of questions and just be kinder to myself and not berate myself for that first piece of chocolate, but then just make better decisions for the next piece. So that is where I'm at. I still see there are eyeballs watching. So thank you so much. If you are commenting and the comments are not coming up, I apologize. Please make sure that you come back next week, because if there was a problem, hopefully I'll be able to fix it by next week. I just don't know if there was. It just feels very weird that there's no comments. But if you've just been watching and you haven't been commenting, that's okay. next week, I hope that you get a little bit of courage and you comment, because that really is my favorite part of the show. But I am going to wrap up now. I love you guys tremendously. I really hope to see you over in Happy School. It is a free community. We just have fun in there, you guys. We go through the happy pillars, all 5 pillars throughout the week. If you do want to join the premium, you can. We meet once a week live together on video, and we really mastermind. We get some real good conversations going. We've got a book club in person, like this. And there's a lot of really fun things. So, but you could be free forever also, and that's totally fine. I would just love for you to be over there, so then I get to see you more than just once a week. All right. Make it a happy and healthy day, you guys. And if you're watching this in the replay, then please just go ahead and answer those questions. I would love to hear about you and who needs real compassion from you right now. Is it your 7-year-old self? Is it your teenage self? Is it somebody else, another part of you, or current you? And what is that one thing that your body's been whispering that you've just kind of been ignoring? And if you don't want to answer in the comments, please grab your journal and go ahead and answer there. They will be pretty profound. I love you so much, and I will see you next week, Wednesday at 7:30 Eastern, 6:30 Central, or whatever the equivalent is for you. Bye.